Promising this audience self-help tips, I can think of no finer person to start this particular half hour with than Till KAHRS, communication consultant, trainer, speaker, and author, conquering your fear of public speaking. His website, as we'll be promoting throughout this half hour, is the trainer for you, the number 4, the letter U.com, enhancing your presentation skills and so much more. Till KAHRS, welcome to A Call to Rights, and thank you so much. Happy New Year to you.
Hey, Happy New Year to you. Great to be on the show with you, Steve.
Well, Till, it's interesting. You and I have done a number of interviews. The audience may not be privy to all of that, but in today's short encounter, I thought we would dispense from our normal political talk to, even though that's quite important to this audience.
Sure.
But we're going to do this, as you heard, as we promoted you there, and proud to do it, talking about self-help. One of the biggest things that I think people have as a fear, and there's so many phobias out there, it would take hours to do a show on it, but simply, Till, the fear of public speaking is paramount in so many people's minds, and you and I both know. We know professionals, even people in the broadcast industry I've known, that they can do this, but they're afraid to stand up in front of the crowd. So tell us how we start this.
Yeah, it's really interesting because no matter how much money you have, no matter what kind of car you drive, no matter how well educated you are, a lot of times we don't speak in public very often. So when we finally have the chance to do it, it's like, woo, a big adrenaline surge, big audience out there. Everybody's listening, families out there, competitors, whatever. We're not really sure how to manage that adrenaline flow. So
that's right.
Since we don't do it that often, maybe we speak at a wedding or perhaps we speak at a eulogy, God forbid, but it's not something we do that often. So even if you're like a great tennis player, a great golfer, if you don't get a chance to do it very often, you may not be that good at it, and that's half the problem right there.
Well, that's why we're concentrating on you, Till, because all inspiration to help us move to 2014 to be a better you, ladies and gentlemen. That's what this show is all about, moving forward to the 2 o'clock hour. But Till, I produced with our producer, Mike O'Connor, I thought a piece that you would appreciate. Till KAHRS, ladies and gentlemen, is a very experienced musician, and I want the audience to hear a little clip that we put together. Till, I think you'll like this, and I can't see you blush because this is radio, but Till, this is our dedication to you to set the stage. Till KAHRS, he's a country singer and so much more, but he'll be back in just a moment talking to us about ways to speak more confidently, enhancing your presentation skills. So here we go.
It's always been easy for me to say goodbye.
Let's now go back in our time machine and discuss Till KAHRS' music career. That brings us up to his current state today, where he talks about self-confidence and public speaking. How did you get started in country music?
I started out as a songwriter, and one thing led to another, and people said, I started singing out on my own demos because I wanted to get other artists to cut my stuff, and people said, you got a great country voice. So I started sending out my demo tapes. Next thing I know, I got a record deal in Europe with a folk label over there, and started touring over there and had a top 10 hit.
You started off on the coffee circuit, if that's correct.
After I got my recording contract, I thought, gosh, I better get out there and start playing live. So that's when the coffee house circuit was starting to go crazy. And I started booking myself in the coffee houses all over the Orange County, just playing acoustically with my guitar and singing.
So you got a record deal in Germany, and that led to a singing tour of Europe.
The country scene in Europe is actually very interesting, Michelle, because what happens over there is people, when they think of country, they think of Western. So, I mean, literally, when you go to a country concert over there, people show up with their guns in their holsters, and they've got their chaps, and, they have some people have Confederate outfits and things like that. So people are really, really into country music, but more the Western part of that country music, you know what I mean, as in the Western part of country Western.
What does the future hold for you?
Well, the future, I'd like to do a lot more stuff here in this country. So I'm trying to get some things going here in the United States, possibly with a major label if that works out. So if anybody's listening that can help me out, let me know. I live in Irvine.
I'll never leave.
And that's Till KAHRS, ladies and gentlemen, from country music and a record album to today's topic, Till, enhancing your presentation skills. I thought you'd get a kick out of that. At least I know we did.
The doctor is speechless. Wow. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. But let's jump back to this because of the short amount of time we have. So let's say there's somebody out there, and there's a lot of somebodies out there, that get up in the morning and they say, their inner being is speaking to them, their inner conscience, and it's saying this way. I can't do that. I just can't get out there and oh my gosh, I got to give this presentation. I really can't do it. Where do you start with somebody who wants to learn how to stand and gain confidence when you're talking in front of people?
Absolutely, and it's really my pleasure to serve people out there and help them with that. And most people have a tremendous fear. The book of Lists says it's the number one fear people have. So the first thing you need to understand, you're not alone. You're definitely not the only one. The next thing is I have some good news for you. Mm-hmm. If you can talk to one person at a time, in other words, your friend, your mom, your dad, your spouse, whoever,
sure,
then you can certainly speak in public. And therein lies the first real tip. So basically you just break it down to very, very simple steps. It's what I call lock, talk, and pause. Mm-hmm. And it's at the cornerstone of my book, Enhancing Your Presentation Skills.
Great.
What you do is you just focus on one person at a time. So, in other words, if I'm making a presentation, you're going to get nervous. There is going to be that adrenaline flow. There's no way around that. But you have to learn to manage it and slow it down. We have to get our bearings, and we have to really focus. So you look at one person, pick out that friendly person in the audience, perhaps somebody you know. Look right at them. Give them that first sentence. So you lock in with them, you talk to them, then you pause, and then you pick out somebody from the other side of the room, focus in on them, and do the same thing. And after a while, it's, this is not so bad. I think I'm having a pretty good time up here. Then what you do with that adrenaline is you double your volume, you have a higher volume, you have more voice inflection, you have more passion, and then you use some of that other adrenaline to use great descriptive gestures. The gestures are really like paintbrushes, so people remember really what they see, not what they hear, statistically speaking. So if you have a big increase in sales or you have a decrease in costs, show us that with a great gesture. So the bottom line is, just to kind of put a ribbon on that concept, if you're afraid, you're not the only one. Everybody has that fear. You just need to break it down. You need to slow down, focus in on one person at a time, and then after a while, it's not so bad. It's really like going to a sporting event, when somebody's nervous before a game, that's normal. But those athletes all get a hold on it, and, they manage to calm down and play a great game.
Well, it's obvious in certain professions out there, and that's what this self-help show for the next hour and a half is all about, how to improve your ability to be more marketable in 2014 and gain that confidence. There are so many job positions out there, or positions that people apply for, that it's so important. I mean, you could be the concierge at a hotel. You could be the person in a telemarketing environment, even though that's not speaking maybe in front of a lot of people.
Right.
But relate to some of the positions where you can be most impacting to people. And I'm sure if they have questions, folks, don't be shy here. A little different format for this particular show today on purpose. 602-277-5369, locally and nationally, 1-866-536-1100.
Yeah, some of the things you can do, they're definitely transferable skills as far as the job market goes. We talk about eye contact, and Steve, you know how important that is.
Absolutely.
Face-to-face communication. You've been doing it your whole life, your whole career.
You bet.
You must have eye contact, direct eye contact. I always joke about it. If you've ever had to interview somebody and you ask them an important question about their last employer, or did you really get straight A's at Harvard, and their eyes start going all over the place, it really is not very positive body language. So in Western culture, here in the U.S. and certainly in Western Europe, direct eye contact is paramount. You must lock in, have that great eye contact. Also, have some great body language. One of the things I love to talk about, for the most part, employers are just as nervous as you are. They might be interviewing a whole bunch of people. So make them relax, make them feel comfortable. Hopefully you can open the doors so they can get to know you. So just smile. Enjoy yourself most of the time.
Well, you're right about that. Smile, because, and I get that criticism. People that know me say, come on, Steve.
You're a pretty serious guy, right?
I know. You need to break that little concrete face of yours and smile a little bit more. And I think they're 100% right. But realistically, we tend to, I think this is true, and I want to hear your opinion of this. on this. We tend to buy things from people we like, and we tend to like people who obviously have a pretty smooth demeanor, pretty calm demeanor. We don't like to see aggressive fools coming in our face and expect that they're going to be served and seated at the front of the food line.
Exactly. Nobody wants to be forced into anything. And whether, as you know, I consult a lot in the automotive industry. I had the great pleasure of meeting Elena Ford a couple of weeks ago, who's the great-great-granddaughter of Henry Ford. And
there you go.
That was quite something. But, in the car business, in any retail business, we're just coming out of the holiday season now, and of course there are a lot of sales. We want to buy from people that we like. We don't want to buy from somebody that we don't like or think is trying to sell us something that we don't want. Generally, happy people and salespeople that are happy and that smile a lot tend to be the number, one salespeople there are.
Couldn't agree more. And we're up against that break, Till, because as you know in radio, here we go down the chute. Ladies and gentlemen, Till KAHRS, communication consultant, trainer, speaker, and author, talking to us today about enhancing your presentation skills as we move from 2013, wishing you and yours the best of a great, healthy, and happy 2014. Till KAHRS website, The Trainer, the number 4, the letter U.com, thetrainerforyou.com. I'm Steve Cates as we talk about self-help, ways to kick ourselves in the you-know-what and get ourselves jump-started for 2014 and beyond here on A Call to Rights, here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
And now here's your host, Steve Cates.
The moment you doubt whether you can fly, you cease forever to be able to do it. A quote from J.M. Barrie, the author of Peter Pan, a long time ago. At 48 minutes after the hour, ladies and gentlemen, we want to wish you and yours the best of a 2014 filled with health and happiness and so many good things. Our show today dispenses with the normal political talk, and we're talking more in the self-help mode. We encourage you to give us a call here and express your thoughts on wishes for this particular show and some of the things that you'd like to talk about wishing the show great success in 2014, or your other comments to 602-277-5369, the local Call to Rights hotline, and nationally 1-866-536-1100. At 49 minutes after the hour, our special guest at the top of the hour is Till KAHRS, communication consultant, trainer, speaker, and author, talking about conquering your fear of public speaking, enhancing your presentation skills. He is all about this website, thetrainerforyou.com. Till, thanks so much, and let's carry on about ideas that we can talk about to help people to strengthen those presentation skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that you really have to consider and think about, if you're nervous, and the main thing is you're just not the only one. Most of my seminars, when people realize, gee, this really is the number one fear that people have. That's incredible. I didn't realize that. They're not alone. So you're not alone. If you have this fear, it can be conquered. There's absolutely no problem with it. One of the things that I mentioned in my DVD, Presentation Skills Mastery, the number one selling speaking skills DVD on Amazon, you have to focus in on one person. You also have to slow down. When that adrenaline surge goes through our body, what we tend to do is speed up. We were talking about salespeople earlier.
Yes.
If you have a fast-talking salesperson, you generally don't believe that person.
Right.
So you really need to get your anchors. You need to slow down. And one of the key things, you hear about this a lot, the ahs and the ums. So what can we do to eliminate those?
Oh, yes, I hear this.
Right?
And not to get overly political here today, but some of our national leaders.
Yes, sir.
If you're in the business like you are and myself, and hey, I'm nowhere near perfect, but I kind of pick up on this stuff. Well, that's kind of you. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we did not pay for these guests to be on our show today. They're doing this voluntarily. But the truth is, no, that's a nice comment, but you're so right. I mean, we, I think, have what? Bastardized ourselves. English has become bastardized in this country in many ways. Would you not agree?
It has, and sometimes better to say nothing than to think you are a fool. I think Confucius said that one. So if you're not sure what to say, Steve, just pause, and that serves many of us well, including myself.
Right, and it goes along with the whole concept of the word assume when you put it in that same phrase. You make a you-know-what out of right.
Yes, sir.
But no, it's interesting, Till, that, we're not looking for perfection out there. I mean, people don't speak as robots that's pre-recorded rehearsed, and we don't have a Michael O'Connor producer that everything we speak about in our lives goes through Adobe Audition, as a voice synthesizer and an editor. But let's talk for everybody out there, just like regular people. You may be denied a job opportunity because you blew that whole interview. And, folks, coming up here, we have Resume Rick here in studio. He's sitting here at the dais with me, itching to get on and start this process, because we're going to talk about resumes after this, Till, which is so important, too.
Great.
The speaking part is great. Now we need to put it into the paper part so we can get you through these hurdles so you can gain that good employment. But carry on with this, because it's so important. Tips from you that we don't normally hear. You got the floor, brother.
Thank you. Really, the thing is, what you have to recognize is that we have no trouble talking to our friends, a loved one, about anything. Mm-hmm. Talking one-on-one is never a problem for most of us. We know some stuff really well. We know about our skill set. We know about previous jobs. We know that information. For some reason, when we get into that interview scenario or speaking in public, all of a sudden we put all this pressure on ourselves. It's just not necessary. Focus on what you know. Focus on one person at a time. If it's a one-on-one interview, look that person right in the eye. Speak slowly like you would to a friend. And that really takes the pressure off. And one thing that'll help you, as I said, just smile. And when you smile, you feel more comfortable. And by golly, that other person you're talking to, and certainly if it's a larger audience, they'll be relieved.
Yes.
They'll also feel more comfortable, and chances are it'll, really show your best side if you are happier and you have a good attitude.
Well, Till, talk to us about the other doctor that we're talking about, the Speak Doctor. And let's hear a little bit about that to the top of the hour, because this is an important part of who you are, to brand yourself out there. But the benefit is to help people. And exactly tell us about the Speak Doctor.
The Speak Doctor came about this way. I was dealing with one of the House of Representatives. I'm in D.C. a lot, working on both sides of the aisle. I'm a mercenary.
There you go. Okay.
I deal with cosmetics. And the bottom line is, one of the House of Representatives folks said, hey, there's the Speak Doctor again, because they see me a lot over there.
There you go.
So that word kind of stuck. And I'm working currently on a reality show called The Speak Doctor, and if you Google it, you can find the trailer there, the TV trailer. There's a lot of free tips for your audience there as well that kind of reiterate some of the things that you and I have just talked about. So feel free to check it out, and I'm very, very much looking forward to people checking it out and getting some tips. It's really my pleasure to serve people that way.
Well, Till, you have a vast experience here as we played our produced piece in honor of your music career. Talk to us about that for a minute, because, that all goes to strengthen, and that's why I played it. I wanted the listeners of this radio show a call to rights to hear, how we piece these things together here. And Michael O'Connor, I want to thank him, our producer, to put that together in such a short time. But what's important about that, Till, is talk to us about getting on stage and performing. I mean, speaking in front of people is one thing, but then the confidence that you don't blow your whole guitar repertoire, your singing and music, that must take an extra level of superb confidence. Or, like many of the rock and rollers of the 60s, they were probably, heavily induced with narcotics.
Yes, they had some other helps.
There you go.
They had some other assistance along the way. So, when you perform live, I played in front of some audiences in Europe, 25,000 people.
Jeez.
Now, I don't care how confident you are. That is a tall order, and you've got to remember chord changes, because I play guitar. And obviously all the lyrics, most musical sets are about 15 to 20 songs. And that is a lot of pressure. And then they call you out there. The adrenaline surge is so far into the red zone that you really have to lock, talk, and pause. The good news, when you're playing in front of 25,000 people, you pick out one person there in the front row, if you can see him through the lights.
Yes.
And, about 1,000 people think, hey, he's singing right to me.
Well, Till, I have a funny story to share with this audience here, being in our lighter mode today. Many, many years ago, Mr. Producer Mike O'Connor and I were invited to go down and meet Ted Nugent behind stage.
Oh, yeah.
Backstage, as they call it. And we were there, and boy, he kept rambling on about cool stuff, and we videotaped it. And then he says, hey, you guys get out there, and we saved you some seats right in the front. Well, I couldn't hear Till for about a week after that. But I don't think we needed to remind good old Ted, Uncle Ted, how to perform in front of that crowd. I mean, that was quite an amazing show. But regardless of where you are on the entertainer or speaking food chain, give a summary, because we've got 4 minutes or less to give a summary from you on this particular subject, enhancing your presentation skills.
Absolutely. Be yourself, relax, slow down, smile, look at one person at a time, look them right in the eye, and if you don't know what the heck to say, simply pause. If you look at great musicians and great songwriters, they have a lot of energy. And notice when Ted Nugent or anybody, the first couple of songs they play are really fast, rocking songs.
Yes.
The reason is because the band and the singer has so much energy and adrenaline running through their body, they need to dispense that energy. It's like letting steam out of the boiling pot, as I like to say. So
Sure.
Really, you need to do other things. If you're still a little nervous, use great body language. That's gestures above the belt line, so get some air under your arms. You don't want to fidget or do the fig leaf position, what I call, people standing and doing the fig leaf position, or you don't want to fidget. And you simply want to double your volume. Most people have that monotone, that boring monotone. Welcome to our annual meeting. It's going to be really exciting.
Right. I want to go for the emergency exit. Hopefully they're illuminated.
Yes,
right.
We've all been there. You have to get passionate about your message, as you obviously are. You have to have that voice inflection so people really believe it, because if you can't get fired up about your message, Steve, it's going to be hard to inspire others.
Exactly, and this may pertain to so many of our listeners out there, and maybe some people are scratching their heads and says, hey, I don't need any of that. I'm good at it. Well, God bless you, right, brother? That would be...
Absolutely.
If you've already come to the table mastering this, because I know I haven't, and I know our good friend here, Till KAHRS, every day, Till, is a learning experience. So
you learn something every day without a doubt, and I've learned a lot of things today, and it's great to have you as a friend, and Happy New Year to you, Steve.
Yes, Happy New Year to you, Till, and let's continue and carry this conversation on. Till KAHRS, as you've been listening to here on A Call to Write. Writes with me, Steve Cates, communication consultant, trainer, speaker, and author. Go to his website, thetrainerforyou.com.